Hey everyone, thanks for coming to my video. I'm playing 9 Man's Morris against the Innkeeper at the Davenport Homestead. If you're going for the original Gamer Trophy in Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered, this is someone you'll have to defeat. So I thought I'd give you some tips to entertain you as you watch this video. So what you have here is him placing his piece at an intersection. An intersection is a very strong place to put a piece because it gives you 4 different mobility options. You can go up, down, left, or right. Now, I'm putting my pieces in corners, which players generally see as a weakness because you only have 2 mobility options. But I think actually, this is maybe just my preference. I don't think people would advise this, but I think it's actually a good idea to start with a couple of pieces in the corner in the first portion of the game when you're just laying down pieces. Because as you'll see, if you have 2 pieces in opposing corners, I have one on the bottom left and on the top right. That lets you do a setup where you can get a guaranteed 3 in a row. See? So if you put a piece in a corner between them, he can only respond to one of the 3 in the row setups that you've created. So I'm able to get, it's called a mill here when you get a 3 in a row, so I'm able to create a mill in the first portion of the game, and in doing so, you can reduce his resources for the next portion of the game when you're moving pieces. Apologies for moving the camera there. I want to see how many pieces he had left to place. Which I guess goes into another tip. For some games you can react to opponents' moves and not think too much about their next steps, but 9 Man's Morris is a game where you're really going to want to think not just 1 or 2 steps ahead, but 3 or 4 steps ahead, where his pieces will move if you move here, if he responds to that. It's very similar to chess in that way. So this is another tip. What I'm trying to do is block him off and stop him from being able to move his pieces. So in the top left quadrant, despite putting his pieces in intersections, he's kind of recklessly cordoned himself off and made it so he can't move his pieces, killing off his mobility, which is an extremely detrimental thing for you because you want to be able to move as many pieces as you can to try and outmaneuver your opponent. There are 2 ways to win at 9 Man's Morris. You can either reduce your opponent's piece count to 2, or you can restrict your opponent's movement to the point that they can't make a move. And I think that going for the latter is actually a safer way to play the game. A lot of people opt for the former because it's a lot more fun to go aggressive and just keep on slamming their pieces, keep on getting those mills and removing them, but I think it's actually safer to go for boxing your opponent in, because if you go for the "oh, I can't make a move" strategy for your opponent, that gives them less opportunity to bamboozle you, because once your opponent gets to 3 pieces, if you do have some mill set up, and once your opponent gets to 3 pieces, they can pick up and place their pieces anywhere on the board, and if you don't have a lot of mills ready to go, then that can be infuriating, and he can either stop your mills and bring you down to 3 pieces so you're forced into a draw, or just annoy you so much that you forfeit the game. So I've set up what's called, I think it's called a double mill at the bottom there. So I think that's something you want to look for, is you want to not just set up a single mill, which is when you have a 3 in a row and then you can move a piece up and down to take out pieces, but actually make it so that when you're moving up you're taking a piece and you move down you're taking a piece. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but see on the bottom 2 rows there, if I just move that middle piece up and down, I can keep on removing pieces. I only do so somewhat sparingly because, as I said, my strategy isn't to reduce his piece count so much as it is to box him in. Now, it's correlated because the less pieces he has, the less options he has for moving pieces. So as you can see, I'm starting to box him in. I've already boxed him in the outermost square, and now I'm focusing on boxing in his pieces on the innermost square. I think that this is probably going to be a tip that doesn't make any sense, but if you think about this game as 3 sets of squares, it can help you really visualize the moves that your opponent can make. And by kind of zoning into those squares and not so much the entire game board, and if you're able to just focus on the pieces in this square, I want to box them in, put them in this corner, I want to like break off these entrances or exits, it can help you with your maneuvering, kind of get into that zen space where you're like, okay, this is all I need to focus on. So as you can see here, I've boxed in 4 of his pieces, and with that last piece that's able to move, I can just bada bing, take it out, and there you go. He's got no more moves he can make. So I'm not sure if this video will be helpful, but it's out here, and good luck on your endeavors. Thank you for watching my video.